I'm Leo Ward for Kit Guru. This case here is the Fractal Design Define Mini-C. We've previously seen the Define R5, which is an ATX tower. We've also seen the Define Nano S, which was a Mini-ITX. And now we have, sitting in the middle, the Define Mini-C, which is Micro ATX. Now, the thing with Define is it's all about quiet computing. So the side panels have noise deadening material on the top. They have a Moduvent panel, which is this thing here. Other than that, it's a fairly conventional case made of stamped steel. Two snags. The one was, when I saw the Define R5, was if you took the Moduvent panel off the top was open, which was just silly because dust could get in. And they've come up with a brilliant little idea, which is to supply a magnetic dust filter. So you take the Moduvent panel off, plonk that in its place. Presumably cost pennies. Shame they didn't do it before. Very good idea. The second snag, Micro ATX, means you typically have two graphics cards in your, or the space for two graphics cards in your computer. But the thing with that is, well, that's expensive hardware and you've got problems potentially with cooling. So I've gone all out with this build and we've got an EVGA Micro ATX motherboard. We've got, that's X99, Core i7 5820K processor, a bunch of Corsair DDR4 memory, a pair of EVGA GTX 980 graphics. Round the back we've got a Seasonic Prime power supply and a whole bunch of custom loop cooling stuff, which we'll get into when I pull the panels off and give you a closer look. The illumination is aftermarket. When I did the last review, I used Mayhem's coolant. Here we have Mayhem's Pastel Pink. That time it was orange, and Mayhem's got in touch to say they agreed with me about the lighting I'd used, which was a touch blue. They said, no, you want white lighting. And they sent me these two strips of dark side LED lighting, which is brilliant white. So when I take the panel off, it's going to dazzle like crazy. Best thing I can do is shut it down and give you a closer look inside. So the side panel comes away after you undo the two thumb screws, pulls off really easily. It actually sums up the build quality of this case very nicely, which is that the plastic window is simply clipped in place. It feels sort of soft. It feels like if you run a fingernail across it, it's going to scratch. I didn't actually try that because I don't want to damage the thing. It does not feel like it's particularly high quality. The steel is quite flexy, but it does a job. This version with the windows, it's a really peculiar number, £73.49 in the UK, all in black with noise deadening material, no window, £68.99, so £69.73 and a bit pounds. So that panel is only costing a very few pounds. So you can see what's going on inside. These are those dark side lighting strips. I've added some tape just to hold them in place. They are phenomenally bright. They're rigid strips, quite unusual, and they're powered off a single fan header. These two strips off a Y-piece, and there you go. Very nifty indeed. So the actual case itself, Micro ATX, you've got 5 expansion slots. So I've gone to town, as I say. I've put dual graphics cards in there. There's one fan at the rear, which is a stock fan, 120. I've removed a fan from the front. Let me just pull off the front panel and show you where that came from. So we have to pull out the full length dust filter from the bottom, which covers the power supply area and also the front section. It's a nylon dust filter. Let's take off the magnetic filter for the top where we're at it as we're pulling the thing apart. And then we pull the front panel, which has noise deadening material, so the air flows through the top and through the bottom, through there. Behind that is this clip-in-place filter, which fell out very kindly on its own. Also nylon, also full height. And there you can see the front. Now I've removed the other 120 stock fan from the front and replaced it with a pair of EK Varda fans because I wanted to push plenty of air through the radiator, and that wasn't really a fair test for the Fractal fans. So we've got a 240 alpha cool radiator. It's quite a slender, it's only 30 odd mil thick, I think. We've got a DDC pump piggybacked on the radiator using a fan mount. And then we've got some Mayhem's Pastel Pink fluid flowing through it, as you can see. EK blocks and back plates, and also that union there between the two graphics cards. And also an EK CPU block there. So nothing particular, I mean, it's all good stuff, but there's nothing particularly radical or daring going on there. Temperatures in this case, I had my fingers crossed and I tested it. I thought it might be terrible. The temps were actually very good. The CPU idled at 41, which is a shade higher than you might like, and it went up to 58 under extreme load. Graphics were idling at 34, 35 and went up to 58, 56 under extreme load, which means that the CPU is actually running a tad hotter than it ought to. I'm actually fairly confident that CPU block is not in the first flush of youth, because the whole thing should equalize. So I would actually expect with a different block that CPU temp would be mid-30s, just doing general desktop duties, and then the whole caboose stays under 60 under full load, which is pretty darn impressive considering we've got the two Vadas at the front and we've got the one stock fan at the rear, and I'd opened up the top by removing the mod event panel. To control the fans, I could have simply plugged them in the motherboard, take off the back panel, which does indeed have the noise deadening material. And I've used there a Corsair Link commander unit which controls both lights and fans. It's, as the name suggests, part of their Link family USB control. First time I've used it, it's a nifty little gadget. I've kind of done a bit of a ghetto cable tying thing here because there isn't a massive amount of space behind here. Now, one other change I've made to the case was I've removed this drive tower, which goes in this location here. I've done it purely because I didn't need it and I wanted some space to shove some cabling. As you'll see, photos on KitGuru in the usual way. That plate there, 2 screws, and you kind of lift it out, and then you can remove the drive tower by undoing these 4 screws, which go through the bottom, and then the whole caboose in this orientation here comes up through that patch and out it comes. I did it, as I say, to give me some space for cabling for my Seasonic Prime power supply, which tragically the logo is upside down because it should really be visible from that side if there's a nice cutout in the power supply cover there, but there ain't. Now, you can also remove this drive tower and then lose that plate if you want to install a longer radiator. If you want to go up to 280, for example, you can see that 240 barely fits. It fits, but there's not a massive amount of space. If you want to go longer, then you're using these mounting slots here, you're losing those drive bays and you're encroaching that space, which is absolutely fine. Or you go 240 or indeed smaller, and that's also fine. On the rear, we have this plate here, which has, it's 1 thumb screw away it comes, and you've got mounting locations for 1, 2, 3 SSDs or 2.5 drives. So 3 2.5s there. And then we've got caddies here, which each do a 2.5 or a 3.5. So there's actually plenty of potential for mounting a good number of drives in this chassis, despite its tiny size. Now, what don't I like about this chassis? Honest truth is very little. There's the thing about Micro ATX, which is why do you want Micro ATX? It's a quirky form factor. It works perfectly well. In this instance, it's a really stonking gaming PC. But why wouldn't you just go for a regular gaming tower and have done with it? I mean, so it's that tall rather than that tall. Which I suppose is the reason, and it's just a guess, why Fractal's come along with the Micro ATX so long after it's done the mid tower and also the Mini-ITX, which is perfectly fine by me. It does everything I want. The build quality is marginal. It's perfectly acceptable, but the steelwork is okay. The window is not great. I suppose it would be nice if they'd gone for an SFX power supply just to give you a bit more working room, then that way you could probably retain the drive cages there, but that's not a killer problem. Also, in this day and age, it's quite surprising they haven't gone for a tempered glass panel. Every case at the moment seems to be tempered glass. This is cheapo plastic. Glass would have been nice, not the end of the world, but if you go into this effort to do a decent build, you want to show it off properly to the world. Overall, Fractal design defined Mini-C, very good indeed. Certainly built down to a price, really nifty piece of design, and overall I'm very happy indeed with this. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Click to subscribe if you want more from KitGuru. Do head to the website to see all our photos. I'm Leo Walder for KitGuru. This is the Fractal design defined Mini-C.